Also watching the kittens in the hallway being kittens. Okay. It's allergy season. The ragweed is high. So, yeah. And I've had one of those mornings where, so I worked out at the Texas Renaissance Festival. I needed to do my pass and I just hadn't gotten around to it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it this morning. Well, in my email, I got into the portal, but I needed a code. So I had to get out of the portal to go into the email to get my code, and then it would reset. I needed to have two devices with my email open to do this. And I'm like, this is not the way this should work. But, I don't know. It just automatically emailed me the code. And I'm like, you should text me yeah. But, here. So that's where I'm at this morning. I remind you that I tell you these little things, one, because it makes me a little more human and accessible, and two, so that you know where I'm at when I do these readings, because your mood affects how you read, especially when you're doing sacred literature. Like, never take somebody's interpretation of sacred literature when they're pissed off, right? I know we're doing spiritual reading, not sacred literature, but the same thing, So I'm a little frustrated. So this should be interesting. All right. I'm not that frustrated because I got it done. I got it, but it just kept kicking me out. So then I had to go get the code and get back in, and it was just a thing. So I'm just like, but because we're doing our declaration of principles. So which means I need to keep going, get going. So we are doing your spiritual power. Let's do the housekeeping, and all the housekeeping is me reminding you that we are Creative Life Spiritual Center. Website is creativelife.org. Constant contact email, info@creativelife.org. That gets you on an email list. That gets you one email a week that tells you what's going on for the week and the month. The hot links are hot. It is a blind CC. Nobody's going to see your email. And the only reason you would get more than one is if something unusual happens. At which point I point out we live in hurricane country. So, all right. And then I briefly mentioned the social medias merely from the standpoint of we do not monetize the social medias. Okay. Which means you get to help us out by helping us with the algorithms. What we would like you to do is like, subscribe, follow based on which platform you are on, and then engage with the individual posts. So react to the post, comment on the post, share the post. I say react to the post because there's more than just like on Facebook, and I'm funny. Okay. So here we go. I should tell you the social medias. We are Creative Life Spiritual Center or Creative Life Spark, and I am the running Rev Ryan on the social medias that I am on. So there's that. Okay. Now, your spiritual power is a collection of inspirational writings, meaning it's a collection of some of his smaller booklets that may not be available anywhere else. It says, when you look it up on Goodreads, it said 4 of them are actually pretty rare. We happen to be doing What Religious Science Teaches. I think I have 2 copies of that book, which I think is really funny. I don't think I bought either copy of them. I think both of them were gifted to me. And it just means I need to gift one on to somebody else. So here we are. But we are so What Religious Science Teaches, we are in the section where he's talking about the Declaration of Principles, what we believe. And so we are taking them kind of, when he changes principles, I change videos, because what he's doing is he's explaining, he's kind of citing his sources. He'll give you a bunch of quotes and tell you where he got the quotes from that led him to create that particular principle. And there's also a little bit of commentary. So what you are getting is Ernest's own ideas about where he got the principles from. And then along with, whatever I might interject in there. So, yeah. If you are following along in the book, I am starting on 114 with, we believe that the kingdom of heaven is within people and that we experience this kingdom to the degree that we become conscious of it. The kingdom of heaven means the kingdom of harmony, of peace, of joy, and of wholeness. It is an inward kingdom. This is why Jesus said we should not lay up treasures on earth, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven. Heaven is not a place, but a state of consciousness. That right there is one of the most important things that I think we need to know. Heaven and hell are both states of consciousness. Why is that important? Because you can live in hell right now. You can also live in heaven right now. And it also cuts out what I see as one of the biggest abuses of the Christian faith, and possibly any other faith, but I haven't looked too hard into other faiths. But the Christian faith, where people were told to accept the suffering of this world because they would be rewarded in heaven. So, suffer here, now, because you'll be rewarded in heaven. That is not what the divine wants. Okay, the divine wants you to fully express yourself here and now. Okay, not to suffer. And I think that is the biggest crock of that religion, that the Christian religion particularly sells. So you are allowed to be happy and peaceful and harmonious and prosperous here and now. Okay? It is your birthright. Don't let anybody tell you different. And there are systems in place to make sure that people suffer, and we're working on that. It's why religious science mind has a social justice arm, because we believe everybody has the right to, now. So, okay. So that heaven is not a place, but an inward state of consciousness. It is an inward awareness of the divine harmony and truth. It is the house not made with hands, eternal in the heaven. Ezekiel said, "The Spirit took me up and brought me into the inner court, and behold, the glory of the Lord filled the house." The glory of the Lord fills every person's consciousness who is aware of that glory. Jesus likened the kingdom of heaven to a child. "Except ye be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven." This refers to the childlike consciousness, to a simple trust in the goodness of God. The Spirit has placed divine intuition within everyone. Meaning that we all have access to our own, mind. Everybody has access to it. Nobody needs an intermediate. There is nothing and no one that can do a better job of communicating your needs to God than you. And there is nobody who can hear God's answer better than you. I was raised Catholic, and we had Jesus and Mary and all of the saints between us and God, and then the priests between us and God. And I just went, no, if I want something, I'm going to go directly to God. I don't need all y'all. Y'all are nice, and you're wonderful examples of how to do this, but I don't need you to be between me and God. Okay? This divine intuition is the gateway through which the inspiration of the Almighty enters the mind. This is why the Psalms tell us to lift up our gates. That is, lift up the intuition and permit the divine light to enter. When Jesus said we are to be perfect, even as God within us is perfect, he certainly implied that there is such a divine kingdom already established within humanity. When the without shall become as the within, then the kingdom of God shall be established here and now. Jesus said that we should assume a childlike attitude towards this kingdom. Notice he said childlike, not childish. There's a distinction. Whosoever therefore shall humble themselves as this little child, the same is greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And when he was demanded of the Pharisees when the kingdom of God should come, he answered them and said, the kingdom of God cometh not with observation, neither shall they say, lo here, or lo there, for behold, the kingdom of God is within you. This certainly refers to an inner state of awareness, or a state of inner awareness. This certainly refers to a state of inner awareness. Let me actually say it correctly. The kingdom of God is within you. That is a direct quote from Jesus. The kingdom of God is within you. It's a state of consciousness. Okay. The kingdom to which Jesus referred is not external, but within. It is not to be placed outside of the self. Neither lo here nor or lo there, but it is to be perceived as the everlasting dominion within. The kingdom of heaven is something we possess, but have not been conscious of. I guess I have a tendency to talk about the Christ consciousness like software. You know, we all come pre-installed with the Christ consciousness software. It's just we have to actually access it and use it. Now, the good news is the password to access the Christ consciousness is love. So I'm kind of getting the feeling that the kingdom of heaven is the same thing. It's like we come pre-installed with it. We have to access it. It is not some far off divine event, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. It is neither in the mountain nor at Jerusalem, but within the mind. Jesus likened the kingdom of heaven unto treasure hid in the field, the which when a man hath found, he hideth, and for joy thereof goeth and selleth all that he hath, and buyeth that field. The treasure of the inner kingdom is already hid at the center of our being, and when we discover it, great joy follows. Our whole desire is to possess this inner kingdom, to drill deep into the wellspring of our being and bring up the pure oil of spirit, to tunnel the granite rock of our unbelief, and at the center of our being discover the pearl of great price. And the disciples came and said unto him, why speakest thou unto them in parables? He answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. Okay? On first reading, this sounds as though Jesus were withholding his teaching from the common multitude, but such is not the case. He spoke in parables, realizing that those who comprehended their meaning would understand his teachings, for he had already instructed his disciples in the mysteries of the kingdom. That is, he had directly taught them the inner meaning of life. Okay, I don't know where Ernest is about to go, but here's one of the things that I'm going to tell you about what I think about this. Jesus taught in parables for two reasons. Okay. One, it was probably not safe for him to come out in public and say what he said. They would have killed him a lot sooner. Okay. The other thing is when you have to work it out yourself, when you have to work the answer out yourself for a question, it sticks better. Like, I can give you the answers to all of the tests, but that doesn't mean that you know how to get there. You know? So what Jesus was doing by teaching in parables, one, he was being safe, and two, he was giving them the tools they needed to figure it out themselves, and then nobody could take it away from them because they figured the answer out themselves. If I just give you the answer, then 2 weeks later, you may have forgotten what I told you. But if you have to find the answer yourself, if you have to work for that answer, you know how you got there, and you can get there again. So those are my two speculations on why Jesus taught like he taught, the way he taught. One, for his own safety, and two, because the system works better that way. I can't just give you answers, but I can show you how to get them. And once you can get them for yourselves, one, you don't need me. And two, nobody can take it away from you. You know, once you've got it, they say, if you want to learn, teach. That you will learn far more teaching than you will ever learn being a student. And I have experienced that in more than one mode here. So, okay, so that is my personal theory. We're going to go back to Ernest now. In Corinthians, it says, but we speak the wisdom of God in a mystery, even the hidden wisdom, which God ordained before the world unto our glory. This is a direct reference to the inseparable unity between God and humanity. God has ordained that forever humanity shall be one with God's own being, that the kingdom of good shall forever be at hand. Since we are individuals, God has also ordained that our good shall make its appearance when we recognize it. Not if, thankfully, but when we recognize it. We've got to be part of the process. We've got to be a part of the process. We've got to do our own work. Because, you know, then, like I said, nobody can take it away from us. Emerson said that nature forevermore screens herself from the profane, but when the fruit is ripe, it will fall. The inner mysteries of the kingdom of God are hid from the vulgar, not because the divine withholds itself, but because only to the pure of heart, to the childlike in mind, can the kingdom be revealed. Okay. Ooh, I don't know if I like the purple. All right. Let's see. One of the greatest of the Greek philosophers. Okay. Like I said, he's showing his work here. One of the greatest of the Greek philosophers said that this kingdom is something which every person possesses, but which few people use. That's interesting. Encased in materiality, filled with the den of objective confusion, we do not hear the still small voice which for evermore proclaims, look unto me and be ye saved, all the ends of the earth. Again, Jesus likened the kingdom unto a grain of mustard seed, which a person took and sowed in his field. He then goes on to say that very soon this small seed becomes a tree which puts forth branches. Here, Jesus is referring to the tree of life, which means the unity of God with humanity. All right. If you say so, Ernest. The little seed is the consciousness of the little child, which becomes aware of its relationship with the divine parentage. Out of this inner awareness grows and blossoms a concept of harmony. The tree of life expands and puts forth branches. Its shade forever provides shelter. No matter how small our concept of heaven may be to begin with, it has the possibility of eternal unfoldment. The power to live is within the self, implanted by the divine. Ultimately, every person will realize their inner kingdom, which will become to them the tree of life, providing food, shelter, perfection, and joy. And in case perfection is a trigger word for you, let me remind you, perfect doesn't mean flawless. It means whole. It means the messiness gets to be included. Thank goodness. Again, Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is like unto leaven, which a woman took and hid 3 measures in meal, till the whole was leavened. He is referring to the action of consciousness in the kingdom of God in the mind as yeast spreading through the whole lump of mortal thought, lifting the weight of burdens of life into lightness. Okay, Yeah, I can buy that. Once you get a taste of this, like it does tend to spread through everything that you do. Jesus is referring to the kingdom of God as the bread of life, the eternal substance upon which the soul feeds, the everlasting presence upon which the inner eye feasts, the house not made with hands, in which the Spirit dwelleth forever. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a merchant seeking goodly pearls, who, when they found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that they had and bought it. Since the great includes the lesser, Jesus told us that we are first to seek the kingdom, because everything else is included. Okay, I've never thought about it that way. But that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. Again, that's probably something I'm going to go away and think about, because I hadn't thought about it before. So that's really interesting. Huh. All right. Since the greater includes the lesser. Pearl stands for purity and perfection. When we discover the purity and perfection at the center of our own being, we shall naturally sell the dross, the fear, and the doubt that infests our thought world, in order that we may possess this inner purity, that we may become conscious of this inner perfection. I think that's one of the reasons why I lean into get to know who the divine knows you to be, because the divine knows you to be good. That's what the divine knows. And if we can know that about ourselves, then we can let go of all of the people who told us that we were bad, wrong, whatever we have been told, sinful, we can let all that go and just go back to what the divine knows. And when that informs how we live, we move through the world differently. And nobody can tell us that we are bad and wrong again, because we know the truth of our own being. Jesus did not wish us to feel that in seeking this inner kingdom, we are losing anything worthwhile in the outer life. For he said that everyone who has sought the inner kingdom shall receive manifold more in this present time, and in the world to come everlasting. In other words, we don't have to neglect our material life to chase this inner kingdom. They can go hand in hand. This is in line with all the other teachings of Jesus, that the reward for right living is immediate. The kingdom is not something reserved only for future states. It is something which we experience here and now through the manifold blessings which the Spirit automatically bestows on us when we seek first things first. All right, Ernest, we got to wrap this up. Okay, we're almost there. The kingdom of God is not something we create, not something we purchase, but something that we must realize. It is something we become inwardly aware of. There is a perfection at the center of people's beings. Browning tells us that we must loose this imprisoned splendor, while Plato and his followers taught that over yonder there is a prototype of perfection. With them, over yonder had a meaning identical with the teaching of Jesus that the kingdom of heaven is within. The Greek philosophers taught that when an image, that is the external, turns its prototype to its prototype, it is instantly made whole, because it is instantly unified with its inner perfection. Let us see what other Bibles of the world have taught about this inner kingdom. Okay. The text of the Tao, we find this: without going outside the door, without looking from the window, one sees the Tao of heaven. The further one goes from themselves, the less they know. What is heavenly is internal, what is human is external. If you know the operation of what is heavenly, you will have your root in what is heavenly. Take the days away, and there will be no year. Without what is eternal, there will be nothing external. They who know completion turn in on themselves and find there an inexhaustible store. The Gita tells us, they who are happy within them, rejoices within them, is illumined within, becomes eternal. And in fragments of a faith forgotten, it says, the kingdom of heaven is within you, and whosoever shall know themselves shall find it. Seek for the great, and the little shall be added unto you. Seek for the heavenly, and the earthly shall be added unto you. In the Upanishad, we read, as far as mind extends, so far extends heaven. In heaven there is no fear. It is without hunger or thirst, beyond all grief. And the Pista Sophia, which I believe is Gnostic, says, be ye diligent that ye may receive the mysteries of light and enter into the height of the light kingdom. Enter into the height of the kingdom of light. All right. And there we go. Now, tomorrow we're probably going to do a couple of these because there's a very short one and a slightly longer one. So I may do 2 tomorrow. But that was a lot. And we are going to go away and think about that now. All right. And I'm going to wrap this up because I got to go. Today was much longer than I expected. All right. I'm going to encourage you to have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonderful day, an awesome day, an amazing day, a take care of yourself day, a take care of business day, a let's wrap this week up day, a drink plenty of water day, a be aware of the heat today. The cooler mornings are a little, so enjoy the cooler mornings, but be aware of the heat in the afternoon days. Let's just cut to the chase day, a good day. And if that is too much pressure, because occasionally it is, simply have a day. You are enough, just as you are. You're a beloved expression of the divine. You are spirit in motion, God in action, a brilliant light, a divine spark, a beautiful masterpiece, and a work in progress at the same time, at your own pace. And as Reverend Jesse likes to call us, you are a godling. All right, beloveds. Explore the truth of your being. Get to know who the divine knows you to be. Because the divine knows you to be good, and from there, anything is possible. All right. Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. I will be back with you around 9-ish tomorrow. Take care of yourself. Know that you are loved. And I will see you next.